Welcome to Lucifer Died for Our Podcast, episode 15. This is Geeked Out Nation's The Wicked and the Divine centric podcast, where we discuss, analyze, and theorize about The Wicked and the Divine, written by Kieran Gillen, with art by Jamie McKelvey, colors by Matt Wilson, and letters by Clayton Cowles. This is our 15th episode. This episode, we are going to be looking at The Wicked and the Divine 20. There was sort of no episode for issue number 19 because our last episode, we kind of tossed everything together as we spoke to Kieran Gillen himself. So if you have not listened to that, please do because it was awesome. I'm still like really excited that was a thing we did.
That happened. Nailed it.
We did. So issue 20, we are looking at that today, which has a great cover of Cassandra, who I've missed so much. But before we jump in, I am Just Camacho. I'm an editor for Geeked Out Nation. I am also a contributor at Multiversity Comics, We the Nerdy, and I have my own podcast called Creator Owned Stories.
Hello, I am Jadobi, writer for Geek Out Nation and contributor for We the Nerdy.
All right, so as always, we are going to spoil everything that happens in this issue. So if you have not read it yet, I suggest reading it first. And then coming back, because a lot happens here and it's really exciting that we're getting some answers.
A lot of answers.
A lot of answers, a healthy amount of feels.
Because dosage.
This wouldn't be Wicked if there weren't a bunch of feels to be had. So issue 20, we up in Brockley, South London, at Laura's former house that is now a pile of rubble. Cassandra and the Norns are there to find out what's going on. Somebody texted Cassandra, so she's kind of upset about this supposed prank, but she's wrong because Persephone, aka Laura, is there in person and she wants to talk to Cassandra. And what she shows Cassandra is like everything. Things we didn't even know she knew. We see the showdown, finally, the actual showdown between Inanna and Baphomet in the church, where Baphomet and Inanna start getting really mad at each other. They come to an understanding. They go to see Laura. And so this is where everything gets really, really interesting. So and this is where I started to go, what? Jadobi was right about this. He had said this a while back. He was really right about this. As Inanna and Baphomet are at Laura's house, they see her be transformed into Persephone. They see Ananke take her out. Her head does not explode. Now, the thing here is that when that happened, we all assumed that Laura was dead. Laura was sent to hell. Laura was sent to the underworld. She never killed her. But she did transform her. But what we find out is that Inanna and Baphomet get really, really upset, and then Ananke is the one who kills Inanna. I'll pause for reaction. Because this is what... yeah, Jadobi, you saw this coming. But I don't think you saw it coming in this way.
Nope, not in this way. I would have thought she was somewhere there waiting for Baphomet to make his move and would have done it herself or maybe done it when he decided. I would have never expected it to have happened this way.
Yeah. So it looks like Ananke is ready to kill Baphomet and Laura, but Baphomet takes her away and hides her. Baphomet is the gothy hero of our dreams, apparently. And we find out from August to September that Persephone spent all that time in the underground with Baphomet.
Sulking.
He saved her. And she was all emo and gothy because she's hanging out with Baphomet. It rubs off on you. But she's really, really depressed. She knows everything that happened, and so she's not doing all right. And Baphomet is taking care of her and every time he comes to see her, he's telling her what's going on. And we then get to see how Baphomet becomes Baphomet. He wasn't Baphomet, he was Nurgle. But he didn't use the name because about in a little bit. But after, kind of telling his story to Laura, they sleep together and they're closer now than they ever were before. And Cassandra is just like, she's flipping out at what's going on, and she doesn't volunteer to help because Cassandra, in the position she's in, she's basically somebody that can see what's going to happen, so she tries to stay out of the action itself. And so Laura goes off back to Valhalla because she was never actually there to begin with. It was all a hologram. And that's really the issue. We get a lot of answers. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
And we're closer now to a huge war than we ever were. The war is going to happen. And I don't know if we're ready.
I'm not ready.
I really did like this issue because of all the answers it gave. I thought it was really a lot of fun to get some backstory on what was going on. What did you think?
I liked this because yes, this is a series where you can have all your predictions, all your theories, though it doesn't matter if you're right. It all comes down to, and that's what made this issue special, because you could have said Ananke was the one who killed. You could say that Ananke is the one who killed Inanna. You could assume exactly how Cassandra will react to the truth, but it's all about how it happens, which catches you, which really gets you excited. I mean, all that blood all over her when she first snapped her fingers, I would have never thought that was Inanna's head exploding. Like, I was like, what, why? I mean, you see Baphomet over here like, what the, and I felt myself saying the same thing, because not only are you experiencing their bewilderment at the situation in front of them, but you're realizing just how dangerous Ananke is when she's standing in front of it's two gods and one that's unconscious, but that's still three gods that she can easily take on by herself. And it's like, okay, you're evil. You're evil. It's like, which one am I going to kill first? The nice one? I'm like, why? That stings even worse, because especially knowing the kind of character Inanna is based off of, it feels like you're reliving the whole thing again, and it hurts. But what I really liked was finding out that Baphomet was really Nurgle, because it makes sense of the whole thing. It makes sense of the type of person the kind of mask he wears compared to the type of person he really is when he's just being himself. I mean, yeah, there were to being Baphomet, but he was cool enough that for a while you might have overlooked it. But now that you know the truth, it just brings everything to it brings everything into perspective, and it's really the kind of perspective you needed in this moment, especially when it came to understanding the connection that he and Laura, no, Persephone could have had during those moments where he was trying to get her back into the game.
Yeah, I really like that. Baphomet, we get thrown for a loop as to who he was actually supposed to be. He's supposed to be Nurgle, and Baphomet is kind of a sweetheart, very subtly. Like he's not like he has it in him to be a sweet guy, but instead he covers it up with like this roguish attitude and like this gothy look about him, and it's like he's not Nurgle. Anyone that like is a fan of heavy metal and Behemoth, like this guy is not Nurgle. And it's kind of smart on his part to kind of reinvent himself and be this different guy. And I really like what he does as far as changing his name, basically. And I really, really love how Baphomet has gone from this like unbearable tool to like this guy who honestly cares about what happens to Laura. And the problem with this is that he also really cares about Morrigan. So he's kind of now in this place where he's just making one bad choice after another.
Yep.
But I love
the end game is still the same for him. But
yeah, he doesn't want to die. I really like how this whole thing with Baphomet has kind of built upon itself, where he was just where he is really transformed into this complicated character, and I loved reading him take care of Laura. Like I liked watching him be there for her and try to help her and make her feel a little bit better about the situation she's found herself in and trying to get her to help. I really like that. I thought that was great. That was probably my favorite thing in this whole issue.
And like just going off of saying how he was a tool in the beginning, he also, you would have just looked at him as an obstacle because he's really not like the other gods, and then suddenly. And then, like this really wouldn't, but just the pure fact that someone like Ananke is pulling his strings and playing him, that makes it as much his fight as it is anybody else's. When when it's just one manipulation after the other, it's like you can't really let that go. It's like he's like the hero of circumstance. I love those. He doesn't want to be the hero, but that's just the position he's been thrust into.
Yeah, I really like how we had episodes where we were talking about how quickly he was going to die, like that he was being a jerk and he was this and that. And I feel like Baphomet has become like the biggest swerve of the book. Now, I'm not saying that he's suddenly like this great person, because he's still who he is. He's still vain. He's still selfish. Because the fact that he even slept with Laura when he's so attached to the Morrigan is a pretty selfish thing to do. But he is still who he is. But we've been allowed to see we've been allowed to see different sides of him, and I loved seeing how he was here, asking Laura how she was feeling, and just kind of really being there for her. And I think that's makes his partnership with Laura a little bit more valuable as they go to Valhalla to have like this big final fight with each other, again with the two different factions, to kind of save Minerva and put a stop to whatever Ananke is up to. I really do like that. I think that this has been the most interesting character arc of all the characters, honestly.
Definitely. Because right now to really show the dynamic between the gods, and for someone like Baphomet, it was more important to really place him with another god that really sees what they have as a curse. I mean, like at first, Laura could have thought that was the most amazing thing ever, but losing her family and all that in the process, that's when your whole perspective and world changes in an instant. So those two pretty much have hit rock bottom. So I think that him trying to get her off her feet while he's still at rock bottom himself was great.
Yeah, and I like how I like the position Cassandra puts herself in um, for something like this. I think the way she comes at Laura after she finds out everything that they do not play God, and that, which to me is such an interesting thing to say, given the powers they all have and who they supposedly all are. It makes you question who God even is in this situation, or
Mm-hmm.
if this is just something she still holds on to as the more human, not the non-deity side of her, um, would say something like this. But I like that she is still questioning what people are saying around her, that she still doesn't necessarily trust everything Laura has to say, and is still kind of pushing to see what the truth is. And I think it makes her one of the more interesting people we have left. Um, and I do like that Cassandra and Laura's friendship has not been forgotten. I really enjoy that Laura did kind of play a trick on Cassandra. I
Mm-hmm.
like that. But yeah, I really liked every bit of this issue. I really did. I think so much of this worked. And I actually feel like I'm more sad now about Anana being dead, because it was like him and Baphomet did fix things. they
Mm-hmm.
they did get to like a better level ground with each other. I like that.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and what I liked about that moment was how we all knew Inanna was going to die, but just the fact that Baphomet knew something was about to happen, regardless of those two mending their relationship. Like I liked how there was a little foreshadowing from him. He was like, is there any, what was it you really wanted to tell Bal? Because it was like, we both might not make it. It's like we're both being played, which means one of us are not going to make it out of this. And I like that because at the same time, you know that those words Bethman is still going to have to say to Bal eventually, whether he wants to listen to him or not.
Yeah, I still am fascinated by the relationship between Anana and Bao. I'm kind of like, I really, really hope at some point we get to see um, what they had together. Like, because I just feel like it's been talked about so much, and like I want to see the two of them together. Like I want to see maybe a one shot or something, or a flashback to their time together. Maybe we'll get that, because eventually Ball is gonna have to find everything out. Like I still
Mm-hmm.
feel like he's like
Me.
this. I feel like he's still this like very quiet wild card in all of this, because he's not fully in the know, and he did have a relationship with Laura.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's very unstable right now, and it should say a lot just for the fact that Nanke is at the same time keeping him at arm's length the same way she does with Amaterasu. It's like whether he likes the truth or not, he should be able to read between the lines when that time comes.
Yeah, definitely. Um, as far as what you think will happen at this big battle that we're headed to, do you have any predictions for that?
Oh, I don't know. There's way too many moving pieces right now. I mean, it's going the fight is going to happen regardless, but there's too many wild cards in between. You have Bal, you have Woden and this mysterious figure that he's protecting. You even had the Morrigan, who's a wild card herself. I mean, I don't she's not completely stable either, like Baphomet and Laura are. She's a little more rage fueled by everything that's going on. There's just they could be a danger to each other, they can be a danger to themselves. Anybody's loyalties could change at the same time. I feel like it's anything goes once the fight starts in the next issue, or if the fight starts in the next issue, something big's gonna happen.
I think very obviously that people are going to die. I think I don't know what the swerve will be, but I think we're gonna get a huge swerve in all of this. I do think Ananke's time is almost up. I really want to see what this story would look like if Ananke got killed. Like,
Mm-hmm.
like I just like she is the villain, and maybe she's the villain. I don't know. She's we. The thing is like we still don't know a whole lot about Ananke. Like we do not know why she does what she does. Like, I mean, unless I'm mistaken, I don't. We have not like we don't know a lot about her motives and why she does what she does, or how she knows what she supposedly needs to do, or how she has this power to like who is she, you know, like she's the
Mm-hmm.
one who keeps finding all the gods, right? So like I want to know more about her, and I hope that in this fight that we're going to eventually get, I'd like to see some of those answers given to us. So that's kind of my prediction. Like I think we're going to get to see a little bit more backstory about who Ananke is and what makes her tick and why she's doing what she's doing. If that
Exactly,
makes sense.
because like we talked about in the previous episode, necessity comes up a lot, but the one thing we still don't understand is what is necessity.
Yeah, like
And
what is it?
mhm, like in the long game, what is necessity? What does necessity mean right now? What does necessity in general mean to her? Okay.
Exactly. So, the art in this book, I was kind of blown away by the coloring, especially. McKelvey is always like so good with the character designs and the amount of movement and the facial expressions. I think he's gotten really great recently, as it pertains to like creating emotions. But what really blew me away was the coloring.
Mm-hmm.
um the amount of stuff that Matt Wilson is able to do is kind of crazy. I love the the whole flashback to what happened that night that Laura was killed, well, where she was supposedly killed, and how bright it was and how dreamlike it was, and like the panel borders were even like messy, like they weren't perfect, they weren't clean lined squares, there was the black hanging out of all of them. I loved that. I really like, I think a lot of artists and colorists struggle with creating dark scenes and not losing the characters, and I feel like that whole sequence where with Baphomet and Persephone in the underground was gorgeous. Like the
It really
shadowing
was.
was on point. Like you could still see what McKelvey was doing with these characters, but you definitely could feel the claustrophobic darkness.
Mm-hmm.
Like you could feel that. It was beautiful.
And the lack of expression on Laura's face that spoke volumes. Like just that stare from her eyes, it's so empty, and add the blue hue to it. It just really creates that atmosphere where there's a lack of hope.
Yeah, it's beautiful, the work in here, and even like the lettering, it changes for each character, and not something you see um, from like anyone really. And I really like, again, I love seeing Valhalla because of how of all the neon colors. I think that's beautiful too. And yeah, I was really blown away by the art in this issue. I think though, as far as like, is it one of the most exciting, action heavy issues? No, but you're reading an ongoing story, so not every issue is going to be that. We got a lot of great answers here and a lot of important backstory that filled things in. And
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what you need to do in an ongoing series where you're trying to tell this long story.
Exactly. Like we didn't need a fight. We got plenty of good story writing right here. I mean, there's so many. You look for a takeaway from this issue, and you got a lot more than you feel than you feel you deserved. I mean, and even knowing so much, there's still so much it either sets up or so many more answers it creates, and that makes for a very fun issue.
Definitely. Definitely. All right, so that wraps up this episode of Lucifer Died for Our Podcast. We covered issue 20 here. The Wicked and the Divine is written by Kieran Gillen with art by Jamie McKelvey, colors by Matt Wilson, and letters by Clayton Cowles. As always, your host in this episode, I am Jess Camacho. I am on Twitter at Camacho Jess. I'm an editor for Geeked Out Nation. I'm a contributor at Multiversity Comics, and I host. I'm also writing now at We the Nerdy, and I have my own other podcast called Creator Owned Stories.
And you can find me at Jadobi.0. I'm an editor for Geeked Out Nation and writer for We the Nerdy.
All right, and as always, thank you so much for listening to all of the show. And previous episodes are available on Podcast Garden and iTunes. Should be on Stitcher shortly. Let us know what you thought of this issue, and what you're looking forward to in the next number 21. And we will see you in about 4 weeks when issue 21 is out. So see ya.
Later.